We've already had a whole lot of increase in clouds, even a handful of showers with some lightning strikes on the east slopes of the Cascades, but the big shift in our weather pattern is still holding off until Friday and Saturday. Hey everyone, I'm Chief Meteorologist Darrell Winninger from the Central Oregon Daily Weather Center, and we are about to take a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. Look at the changes that we've already seen across the high desert, the changes that are on the way, especially as we go through this weekend, and how those are going to impact us across Central Oregon. But we start things off right now with a quick look at cameras across the high desert, a mixture of sunshine and clouds, but in a couple of these cameras you can see a little bit of the shift that we've already started to see. In fact, if you look at this bachelor camera right behind where you see me, you can still see everything over the horizon, and there are some ominous clouds and off in the distance a few showers. Now this is just the beginning, because through the next couple of days a better chance of showers are expected with the potential of some thunderstorms. So let's shift it just a little bit. Still looking at cameras, going over to the ODOT cameras. These ones are focused on the roads, and we don't see too many roads that are wet, except for in Sisters, where there was a thunderstorm that pushed through at the top of this hour, at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. In fact, we have had not much, but a total of 6 lightning strikes across Central Oregon here in the last 4 hours or so, and that's because of those showers and light thunderstorms that rolled off the east slopes of the Cascades. Now, by tomorrow, there is a fire weather warning that's going to be in place, or a red flag warning that's going to be in place for parts of the high desert. We'll talk about that here in the next couple of minutes, but if today was Thursday, we would really be focusing on that. The good news is that there was a little bit more moisture in the air today, and we didn't have completely dry conditions, and we're still going to track anything that comes out of where those lightning strikes were, but that was the bulk of what we had today. Just a few pop-up light thunderstorms throughout parts of Central Oregon, mostly from the east slopes of the Cascades down to the 97 corridor, and for the rest of the state, for the most part, we aren't tracking much at all. There are a couple of spots that are down near Lakeview to the east of Klamath Falls and to the southeast of Klamath Falls, and there is one cell that's popping up, could be rolling into Lake County. It does look like it has a pretty decent thunderstorm core associated with it, but I don't think it's going to make it anywhere near Central Oregon. Basically, what we have right now is what we've gotten. That's what could be impacting us through the next couple of hours, and around these light thunderstorms could get gusty. Some outflow boundaries are expected, but here's your red flag warning. Goes into effect noon tomorrow, continues through 8 p.m. Thursday. Now, with this graphic, I do have those lightning strikes for the last 12 hours on there. And as we go forward through the rest of this evening, the few showers and thunderstorms that we have are pretty much going to fizzle out. In and out clouds are expected overnight, and then we start to see the real shift in our weather pattern. So let's shift gears. We were just looking at the blend of satellite imagery that was visible and infrared satellite imagery, and we had rain or radar thrown on top of that. Now we're just purely looking at enhanced satellite imagery, and the reason for the enhancement is it really pulls out those very tall thunderstorm clouds. So that one cell we were just looking at rolling into the Lakeview area, that one is producing abundant lightning. It does look like it's bringing a heavy downpour, and you can see that tall cloud cover associated with it. Moving up to Central Oregon, we have those handful of lightning strikes, and there's just one cell that's right around Redmond. Looks like it's going to be moving to the north and northeast of Prineville, where the cattle drive is happening for the Crooked River Roundup, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were a couple of lightning strikes in the vicinity, maybe winds getting breezy, and even some sprinkles. But when we go ahead and take this this view, this enhanced satellite imagery and pressure, and just look at the bigger picture, we're noticing a couple of things. First, those solid white lines, those are isobars, or equal or constant lines of pressure, if you will. And they help us understand where we have different things going on. Like we can really see that ridge of high pressure out over the Pacific Ocean, almost a bullseye because of it. There's also a low that is just over the Gulf of Alaska. This is the low that rolls into the region Friday, stalls out Saturday, and brings that big drop in temperatures, that cold Gulf of Alaska air right into Central Oregon. But typically when we have these pressure gradients that are really tight next to each other that are really stacked up, that's where we have stronger winds. And over central Oregon right now, we mostly just have a light breeze. It has been becoming breezy at times. So that's just a quick look around the region. And when it comes to the water vapor and pressure also, we don't have that huge dry air mass that was over central Oregon yesterday. So where we've been getting some of these showers, we haven't been getting virga, and that rain is making all the way to the surface instead of evaporating as it falls for many parts of the high desert that have been getting some of us just catching a few sprinkles. But we are not done yet. This is just the beginning, the hint of a beginning of some shift in our weather pattern because of that next system that's currently out over the Gulf of Alaska. So when we look at your forecast model tonight, or really through the rest of this evening going into tonight, some in and out clouds expected. By Thursday, increasing cover. But notice even Thursday afternoon, nothing, not much at all in the way of precipitation chances. This first wave of moisture rolling in is just going to bring clouds. Now winds will become breezy. It's still going to be very dry out there, and temperatures are still going to be topping out near average for this time of the year, mid to upper 70s, lower to mid 80s. And so there is actually that red flag warning for the Warm Springs Reservation, pardon me. But then through Thursday night going into Friday, a few showers make it to our side of the Cascades through Friday, and even Saturday we have this low chance of showers. And any showers that develop, we're going to be tracking for the potential of thunderstorm activity. It's just going to be few and far between. Not much is expected. And right now, it's not as critically dry across the entire Tri-County area where we've been getting some of these showers rolling off the east slopes of the Cascades. We have slightly elevated relative humidity values, but for those of us who haven't had any of that, single digits and teens. Yeah, that is extremely dry across central Oregon. Now, by tomorrow, we're going to take extremely dry, double down on it, not nearly as good of a chance of any showers or any thunderstorms, and so we're actually looking at drying out even more. Add in winds that are going to be breezy with this next system, and any fires that start are likely to spread rapidly. I did backtrack to this graphic. I just wanted to point out that it's just a little bit of Jefferson County outside of the Warm Springs Reservation that has this red flag warning. And that's one thing that I wanted to point out. All of the reservation is within the boundaries of the red flag warning. And so it's something we will be tracking with you, as well as other parts of Central Oregon. Still going to be dry, still going to be breezy. Even though we don't have that warning in place, we still have elevated fire danger across the high desert. Look at this, though. Today, temperatures topped down in the 80s for most. We did have 79 in Sun River and 94 in Warm Springs. And here in the last 24 hours, we've been actually running, look at this, between 13 degrees cooler in Sisters, where we got wet because of that thunderstorms, and we had the huge drop in temperatures. But outside of that, it's been 5 degrees cooler to 0 degrees warmer. So not the earlier part of today, we had some spots that were running a little bit warmer, but once those thunderstorms started to roll off the east slopes of the Cascades, it changed it up quite a bit for us. Now, through the rest of this evening, temperatures go from the 80s through the 70s and 60s into the 50s. Now, some 40s are expected during the early morning hours, and by tomorrow, we're topping out on either side of 80 degrees. That's much closer to what it should be for this time of the year. The next big shift that we're looking at, not just temperatures, but the UV intensity forecast is going very low, or I should say much lower, into that moderate range. And where we actually keep a lot of cloud cover on Friday and Saturday in your locations, it's just going to be low. I think it's going to be down to a 2. But what that really means for us is all this cloud cover that's rolling in and that chance of precipitation is going to knock down the UV intensity forecast. By tomorrow, a few sprinkles, not out of the question by the afternoon. But this big shift in the weather pattern is mostly going to be the scattered light showers that are going to be possible, the stronger winds that are expected, and the big cool down. So let's go to that last bit, the cool down. By Thursday, we will have a mild start, 40s and 50s across the high desert. Actually, more 50s and 40s are expected, and increasing clouds are in the planner. This represents a modest dip in temperatures. Remember, today it was well into the 80s with a few 90s. One spot struggled to get out of the 70s. By tomorrow, it's going to be 70s and 80s across the high desert. I do think we're looking at more 80s and 70s, but either way, that's the next drop in temperatures, but it doesn't stop there. By the time we get to Saturday, at the very end of this planner, you're going to notice a 30+ plus degree drop in temperatures, going from the 80s with a few 90s to the 50s and 60s across central Oregon. But by Friday, that cold front rolls in, starts to fizzle out. It's stalling out over the Pacific Northwest. Off and on showers are expected, but most of the rain is going to be west of the Cascades. It's just what makes it through that comes through the high desert. Already cooler. We're looking at 60s and some 70s. By Saturday, 50s and some 60s, still having that chance of some showers. All said and done, we are looking at getting wet, just not quite for everybody. So all the way through Saturday, we're looking at a low chance for a little bit of snow through the Cascades, and it does look like some blank spots out there, but then this whole trough starts to work its way off to the east. That's going to assist our next warming trend. And so by Friday afternoon, maybe a few isolated storms. There'll be few and far between. The best chance of precipitation is going to come in the way of some light showers Friday and Saturday. Tomorrow, it's just bringing the clouds, but notice that huge drop in temperatures. And our forecast model does have, this is the one that we typically use on air every night. We don't always use the high resolution one that I was showing you earlier, but this one is going to show a better chance of some light showers. And that really starts up by Thursday night. So by Thursday, we have increasing clouds, still unseasonably warm, then some light showers are going to be possible, not just Thursday night, but Friday and Saturday as well. Each time we have another weak wave of moisture rolling in with this next trough, there's a chance of some showers. And any showers that develop are going to be tracking for the potential of thunderstorm development as well. And then by Sunday, we really start to clear out. Now, when we look at the long-range forecast model, you're going to notice an even lower chance of precipitation, and it really helps paint a picture of what's going to happen after we get out of this weekend. So through Thursday, we catch our increasing clouds, and then Friday and Saturday, a chance of some sprinkles with this forecast model. I actually think this one is underdoing it just a little bit compared to the last one, but I don't think all of us are going to get wet. And a little bit of mountain snow is expected. By Sunday, we start to clear out. By Monday and Tuesday, the clearing continues. Tons of sunshine is on the way, and temperatures start to rebound as we go into next week. By hump day of next week, we're reaching out of the 70s back into the 80s again, and then we start to see another shift in the weather pattern by this time next week. A few more showers are going to be possible, but that is a long-range forecast model. We've already seen it so far through the spring, and even so far this summer, where something shows up that far back on the forecast model, and then as we get closer to the day, it pushes it back a little bit more. And so that is something to keep in mind. But between now and Saturday at 11 p.m., some light showers. Through Tuesday at 5 p.m., much the same. In fact, I think by then our chance of rain is pretty much going to be dissipated. The best chance of some showers will be Friday and Saturday. After that, we're pretty much drying back out. So currently our wind gusts not too strong, between 15 and 22 miles per hour. Actual wind speeds 10 and 15 miles per hour for most of the high desert. And most of that is coming out of the north and northwest just a little bit. Now, it will be breezy at times through the next couple of hours, and then tapering winds, actually tapering down to a gentle breeze by tomorrow morning, then picking up a little bit during the afternoon hours. But notice, by tomorrow afternoon, it doesn't last as long, so maybe 1 to 3 hours where winds are going to be 10 to 20 miles per hour. And that's going to happen between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Once we start getting closer to sunset, just like every day, tapering winds are expected. But look at this, by Friday, not just breezy, but gusty at times. And it's going to be like that again on Saturday. So for tonight, expect 50s and some 40s. By Thursday, we're looking at 70s and some 80s expected. This is going to be putting us close to average for this time of the year. Not much in the way of precipitation, but wind speeds tick up, especially during the afternoon getting into the evening. And then by Friday and Saturday, that's when it'll be gusty. That's also going to be our best chance of precipitation, just not everybody getting wet. By Sunday, we start to clear out. By Monday, that clearing continues. And notice that we're going from 80s with a few 90s today to 50s and 60s on Saturday. And then by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're steadily climbing through the 70s with some 80s possible by hump day of next week. So just a quick recap for you, your weather headlines for this Wednesday, June the 24th. It's going to be dry and breezy before our big drop in temperatures. Elevated fire danger is expected through the day tomorrow because of the potential of stronger winds and the very dry conditions. And then the big weekend weather flip, where we're looking at a whole lot of cloud cover, some scattered showers, and a big drop in temperatures. That big drop in temperatures is going to take us from the 80s with a few 90s today. We even had a couple spots that struggled to get out of the 70s, all the way down into the 50s and 60s. Now, currently, we have a handful of light thunderstorms showing up on radar, and a couple of us are catching some sprinkles. Looks like some of those sprinkles could be making it all the way into Prineville. So if you or any loved ones are planning on heading out to that cattle drive, just know that a few sprinkles are possible. The best chance of thunderstorms is already wrapping up for the day. So that is the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast at 6 and 7 on at 6 o'clock on ABC and CBS, 7 o'clock on CBS, and then at 11 o'clock on ABC and CBS. We'll see you then.